Alright, welcome NextGeners. This is the accompanying video for the 3D game design class. We will be covering terrain level setup, adding weapons and vehicles, painting trees and adding grass, and custom textures between the course of 2 to 4 videos. So, let's begin. I have Unreal Editor 3 open. This is different from UDK in the fact that you must go File New and you must choose either additives or subtractive. We will work in an additive environment. I'll click OK, and we'll start anew. I'm going to go ahead and go File, Save As, and I'm going to save my level as a deathmatch level. So I'm going to type capital D, capital M for deathmatch, the dash, and I'll type the name of my game. And I'm going to try to keep this simple. So first level, no spaces. It's real easy to remember. Now, if you were going to do a capture the flag, it would be a CTF dash, all in caps. If you were going to do a vehicle capture the flag, it would be a VCTF dash, all caps. There's no need to do a team deathmatch because deathmatch and team deathmatch are essentially the same thing. Alright, so with the deathmatch map ready, we need to go to Tools, New Terrain, and we're going to create a medium-sized terrain for our deathmatch. So we'll go ahead and do a 64 by 64 patch terrain. Okay, remember the location simply just places it in a specific location. 000 is fine. We'll click Next, and then under the appearance, we'll keep the layer set up as default, and we'll just click Finish. And we should have our terrain here. Now remember, you will not see your terrain until you turn on either wireframe or you do it as unlit mode in your viewport. Wireframe unlit. I like to go with wireframe for this. For painting until I get my dynamic light in. For this setup, we're not gonna go immediately into painting. We're gonna go ahead and go to our generic browser, and we're gonna go and add our dynamic light. So we're gonna switch over to generic browser, actor classes. Remember, you can find the generic browser button here. It's to the left of the Kismet icon, the K. Generic browser opens up. We're gonna go to actor classes, which is the second tab. We're gonna go down to light, directional light, and we're going to select directional light toggleable. We'll go ahead and right click in our screen over here in our viewport, and we'll just choose the option that says add directional light toggleable here. We'll go ahead and lift this guy up. It's not really necessary to do that, but for some reason I just have this habit of moving that light. This directional light shoots in omnidirection, meaning it goes everywhere. Let's go ahead and go to the binoculars. Let's set this directional light to be in the properties. We're going to select the directional light. We'll click on the property icon, and we're going to come over here to the light option. We'll open up the light component, and we're going to make this light a dynamic light. So we're going to force dynamic. Check that. That should ensure that your light shadow casting is okay. And now we're going to go ahead and go into the generic browser one more time. So I'll click generic browser, open, and let's go ahead and throw in our sky dome. So our sky dome is going to be located under File, Open, and we're going to go and grab the UN Sky package. Now, in order to go through that package, when you install your version of Unreal, it's going to be under Windows C program files. I installed it to a separate hard drive, so I'm going to go through it in my linkage, and then I'll let you know from the when I get to the point that it is universal to you where you should go. So I'm looking for my games. You won't be here. You'll go through program files. Okay, games, my games, and I'm going to go to Unreal. Okay, so you'll go to Unreal Tournament 3. I went to Unreal. This is where we should be together now. Okay, UT Game, Cooked PC, Environments. All right, for you guys, it will be program files, Unreal Tournament 3, UT Game, Cooked PC, Environments. That's if you saved it or installed it by default into the default location. Alright, so I'm going to scroll down and grab the UN Sky. So all the way down here, UN Sky. You can go ahead and get the terrain 2, and the trees as well. Might as well load all those things up since we will be using those over the course of the the videos. Let's go ahead and grab the foliage as well. So I got foliage, the UN Sky, terrain 2, and the trees. And I'll click open to open up all of these packages into my scene. Excellent. Now remember, we can filter through the different things that we see in each package by checking. I'm going to go ahead and check the two most important things that I want to see, the materials and the static meshes. Okay, those are the things that we were using this week. The materials being these green shaded objects, and the static meshes being the turquoise ones down here. Okay, so we are looking for the UN Sky package. So if you see here, we've got the light gray packages which are not fully loaded, which you can select, right click, and choose fully load to load those in. But we already have the UN Sky fully loaded. We'll select that guy. We'll scroll down to one of the hemispheres here, one of these guys here with the texture already applied. Let's just select one of these here. I'll use this guy here. I'll select him. I'm going to go ahead and go into my scene, right click. I'm going to say add actor, and remember, when you're coming from this generic part of the generic browser, it has to come from the add actor, add static mesh. So anytime you're adding a static mesh or a texture, it's going to be, or no, static mesh, it's going to be there. Okay, remember, we need to scale some of these, so the best way to do that is to put yourself in one of these orthographic views. So this is what, the front view, this is the side view. Here is my sky. Let's go ahead and close that. We don't need that anymore. We're going to go ahead and go over here to the scale tool. I'll click on the scale option. You can also use the space bar to toggle through the move, rotate, and scale. I'll grab the scale tool, and I'm going to scale this guy up until it consumes my terrain. It needs to be larger than my terrain. There we go. Let's go over here, and let's go ahead and move this to the center so that my terrain is centered with the sky. You can't really do that here because the sky object and you can't really see the sky here. That is the issue with this version. But you can certainly set yourself up between the orthographic views. So I'm going to select my terrain. I'm just going to set this up here. Let's see. So I need to go to the right a bit. There we go. It doesn't have to be perfect. You just need to get all of your terrain within the sky. So I'm going to also increase the speed of my mouse by clicking on this icon here. Okay, these are different speeds for the mice, and if you have it on that, you'll go all the way across really fast. Okay, looks good. Awesome. So we have our terrain, we have our sky, and we have our light. Last thing we should do is we need to go to our binoculars once again. We'll select the terrain this time, and we're going to go to the properties. And inside of the terrain properties, we want to just check be morphing enabled and be morphing enabled, gradient enabled. Okay, so we need these first two things checked for the terrain. And remember, for the skylight, we had checked, or the directional light, we had checked make this force dynamic light. Okay, so those two options were checked. Everything is good. Once we get that in, go ahead and do a file, save current level, and now we can begin painting. So let's go ahead and go to our height map, or our terrain settings here. Okay, the terrain editing editor, or the terrain, what do they call this? The terrain editing mode tool will allow us to paint our terrain. So we have the paintbrush here, we have the flatten tool here, we have the smooth, and we have our noise option. Okay, so remember, the flatten, we set a height. The paint tool, we just paint with our terrain. The noise, it just makes, rigid mountains, and the smooth tool smooths out those mountains. So just to give you an example, I'm going to go ahead and grab the flatten tool first. I'm going to set my height to 800. Let's make some large mountains here. Let's turn our strength up and our radius, and maybe we'll have a little bit of a fall off. And I'm going to come over here, and I'm just going to lift up. I'm just going to go around the border here of my terrain and close in my level. And I can get this done really quick just by using that set height tool. Okay, now there we go. So there's my level of play, and my characters will not leave that playing field because that is pretty tall. That's about 800. If we want, we can just randomize this a little bit more. By using the paint tool, we can just lift some of these areas up like that real quick. Just get some really quick mountains going here. Awesome. Lift that up like that. There we go. Excellent. Looks good. So I'm just going to lift that up like that. Trying to hit the edges. I'm not really trying to do the base, but sometimes it happens. Remember, your left mouse button control key will paint mountains. So I'm holding my control key down. I'm clicking on the left mouse button. It's painting. And if I use the right mouse button, it will depress. Okay.